Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Descendants: The Rise of Red. This is a brand new 2024 film from the Descendants franchise. It is an hour and 34 minutes long, and it tells kind of the next step in these stories. A lot of the actors from the original trilogy of films, well, they've kind of moved on to other things. In fact, it's even acknowledged they've gone on an adventure to another land somewhere on a sailing ship. And I don't know if that was, I can't remember if that was in Descendants 3 or not. And apparently I learned, I watched it, but it's been a long time, and apparently one of them died. One of the characters, not the actors. Yeah, I don't remember that. I don't know. So what we get here is sort of a reset, not a reset, but sort of a continuation with different characters. And in fact, only two actors from the last three films appear in this one. The fairy godmother, played by, where are you? Where are you? Come on. There you are. Melanie Paxton is fairy godmother. And returning is this young woman. She is, well, where? Come on. She's hidden far down. China Anne McClain plays Uma, the daughter of Ursula. She is sort of in this as a framing aspect. I don't know. But what is very apparent about this is that it is a new trilogy, the start of a new trilogy. Without our previous set of actors. Whether they ever return or not, I don't know. Again, this tends to be a series of films based on teenagers playing the children of known villains, like the daughter of Maleficent, the daughter of in this case, the Queen of Hearts, or the daughter of Ursula right here, daughter of just so many different princesses. Oh, Beauty and the Beast, the son of Beauty and the Beast, right, falls in love with the daughter of Maleficent, Mal. I've already forgotten her name, but she's fantastic, and but she was the star of the last series of films. This one focuses on the daughter of the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland, a land that has not been part of the the Descendants universe as yet. There's a land called Auradon, which is kind of a kingdom that brings together all the characters you know from all the other Disney films, whether they've been brought over from other people's works or not, because it's all free reign. They don't have to pay certain deceased creators for the rights to use, say, Peter Pan or Wendy or Alice in Wonderland. So in this case, the daughter, her name is Red, and she's a little bit of a rebel. But what we get in this, I don't want to give away too much in case you haven't seen it yet. And odds are, if you're a big Descendants fan, you've already seen this. You had a slumber party the night of, whether you're 24 or 12. You probably had a watch party, or maybe you just watched it yourself the night it was premiered on Disney Plus. But for those of you who are not sure what these things are all about, I honestly do like the concept. I like the whole little mashup and seeing what happens with the next generation of heroes and villains in all the Disney character films. And some of them are a little problematic regarding, continuity and canon. But honestly, if you're too wrapped up in that, if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that, say, the daughter of Cinderella and Prince Charming that Cinderella originally went to school in Auradon before it was called Auradon, when it was, sorry, I haven't gotten to the time travel part of this story yet. Yes, there's time travel, so that has a little +1 for me, because I do like time travel stories. And of course, these are the kind of things where when you travel in time, should you avoid, like Marty McFly, should you avoid running into your parents? This pretty much goes against all of that. And they immediately, our two time travelers immediately go back in the past and meet their parents, or their moms at least. This is where Red, who doesn't obey her mother, the Queen of Hearts, and she sees, you know how the Queen of Hearts tends to be. She's a little bit intense, and she's a off with her head type of person when it comes to any kind of punishment. However, she's sort of been exiled into her own little wonderland space off to the side. That they don't want anything to do with Auradon, and apparently Auradon has nothing to do with Wonderland. And it's an oppressive state. There's a curfew, and somehow she had a daughter. We don't know who the father is, and well, Red, in every chance she gets, she acts in an act of rebellion against her mom. But she gets invited to join the prep school in Auradon. That's okay. That's bringing her into the story. And when she gets there, she immediately runs into one of the other royalty that is, walking around. Oh, Cinderella. And the really great part of this, the really interesting part of this all, is that they brought in Rodgers and Hammerstein's version of Cinderella, played by Brandy. Yes. And you see all the stories, pristine white blonde girl in a blue dress losing her slipper kind of thing. No, it is the Brandy version, and Brandy, of course, plays Cinderella. And what's his name? The guy who was Prince Charming. There he is. He is Paolo Montalban. He also plays Prince Charming. So they're brought into the canon of this whole thing. It's kind of a neat opportunity that they did this, because we did have a live action Cinderella thing, but I don't think, who was it? Is it Elle Fanning? It wasn't Elle Fanning. Was it? Either way, they didn't have to do this, but they did. They brought in Brandy and Paolo to be the princess, to be Cinderella and Prince Charming. And they have a daughter who is played by, where is she? Malia Baker. She plays Chloe. She has just, for some reason, brightly colored blue hair. Everybody, by the way, gets brightly colored wigs. All the teens, even if they're 20-somethings playing teens, they all have just brightly colored, distinct hair. It's branding. It makes for great merchandise, I guess. Dolls. I don't know. It's whatever it is. I'm looking at this, and Brandy even has blue hair. I don't remember her having blue hair. I don't even know if she had the blue dress. Did she? She had to have the blue dress. Yeah, she had the blue dress, I think, in those movies. The Rodgers and Hammerstein. I've done both that and the 20th anniversary specials. I've reviewed both of them. And I didn't understand at the time just how distinctly important those films were. And of course, Whitney Houston was involved in that. She's obviously not involved in this, but there's a little bit of a callback to, I don't think it was intentional, but let's just say there's a scene toward the end of the film, and I'm not going to be too specific. There's a scene toward the end of the film where Cinderella and her daughter are reunited, and they're obviously not in the same room together. There's a whole CGI thing that puts them in front of a background smiling at each other, and if you know the old Rodgers and Hammerstein the Cinderella story, Whitney Houston is definitely not there in most of those scenes. She is, when she's singing her song or whatever, and they just threw her into a window, she's standing in front of her green screen, and there's like a parade going down the street, and she's the fairy godmother in that situation. She's just singing in a window, and you know that she's not really there. They just couldn't put her, they filmed her separately in so many instances. Yeah, there were certain scenes she did Brandy and her did duet and everything else. Just bad green screen had to be involved at some point. There's so many decent, really good special effects throughout this. And of course the set design and the costuming and the hair is always just wow, just it's always brightly colored and just you can't miss it. I mean, what's her name? Kylie Cantrell, who plays Red, she's got a distinct outfit. She's got that rebel outfit, the bright red hair, and we saw just a few days ago her music video, Christmas, Red Christmas, yeah, Red Christmas. Yeah, it's so yeah. There's a lot going on there when it comes to style and at least a callback, and intentional or not, to green screen in the old Cinderella movie. But getting back to the story, without revealing too much, Red, her mom gets a little bit full of herself and decides to take over Auradon. And she is given something by Red is given something by the Mad Hatter before she leaves, which is a convenient MacGuffin, which is a stopwatch, or a why can't I recall the name of what these things are that is put on a chain? She gets this, and it can help her travel through time to a time that she most needs to be. And she said, you don't really get to choose where you go. You get to go where you're meant to go in order to make things right. Well, when the Queen of Hearts decides to take over Auradon and shut everybody in, and also accuse Brandy, Cinderella, of treason, exiling and eventually leading to her supposed execution, which we never actually see, but it's implied that she would be executed. Everything's definitely gone wrong, and Red sees her part in this as to set things right. But as she decides to use the watch, the daughter of Cinderella jumps in, Chloe, and they struggle over it, thinking that she has a weapon or something, and they both travel back in time to the time of when their mothers were best friends and young, and yeah, it's Back to the Future. But in this case, they're trying to mess up the timeline and make things better. There's a point in the history when when Cinderella and Queen of Hearts were best friends, and the Queen of Hearts was a very different person. Yeah. She was not so bitter and cold and cruel. She was a light. She was played by Ruby Rose Turner. And if you don't know that name, that means you're a Disney devotee. You've grown up with Disney, the Disney Channel. She was Cammy in Coop and Cammy. Come on. And she's still, I think when she made this, I think she's still like 19, maybe 20. She's still a kid. When I saw her face, I'm like, I have not seen. When I looked her up on the IMDb, I'm like, where else have I seen her? And I'm thinking, I've only ever seen her in Coop and Cammy. She's done other stuff, but it's not stuff I've seen. So how I don't know. I mean, it's like I watched one episode of Coop and Cammy. I don't know. But she's definitely grown up, and she's cute as a button, and she is the exact opposite of what the Queen of Hearts became. And Red gets to see her in a new light. And, of course, it's all about just gaining perspective on how your parents are and what led them to become the people they were, and could you be friends with them? And what, in this case, Red is very much looking out for her mom and trying, as a teenager, and trying to see her as a person who was harmed in some way that made her who she is, and she's trying to stop that. And with the help of Chloe, they do that. It's a big adventure. Of course, there's song and dance. You got to have all the singing and dancing, and yeah, that's pretty much the thing. But by the time they get to the point where they're, let's say, they're battling bullies. Of course, there's bullies in this. Of course, we're going to get to see some younger versions of other characters as well, especially some villains. We get to see a young version of Maleficent, a young version of Hades, a young version of Ursula's little sister, Uliana. Not Ursula, but Ursula's little sister. Okay, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just she needed to be the lead villain in this, and not, yeah. That's all I can say. So Morgan Dudley plays a young Ella, Cinderella, and Ruby Rose Turner plays Bridget, the very young Queen of Hearts, and we get to see them dancing and singing with their future daughters, and there's a little bit of joy in that, in seeing how they work together, and they teach them lessons. We get to see that while while Bridget is much more a ray of sunshine and kind and friendly and loving to everybody she interacts with, Ella is still a little bit, while she's a bit of a revolutionary still at this point, she is definitely living in her stepmother's house, still doing all the cleaning, but still she's going to prep school at Merlin Academy. Yes, before it was Oridon, it was Merlin Academy. And yes, there is a Black Cauldron reference. Yeah, there is a Sword in the Stone reference. But one of my favorite things about this era, the fact that this exists, is I want to make sure I get his name right. Yes, Jeremy Swift plays Merlin. If you know who that is, Ted Lasso. He's not Ted Lasso, but he's on the Ted Lasso series, and one of people's favorite characters because he's just so awesome. But Jeremy Swift, if you've ever seen Ted Lasso, you'll see him as Merlin in this. So there's lots of neat things as we see all of our favorite princesses and princes and everything else from the Disney movies, animated movies primarily. We see them all as adults, grown up now with children in the first three films, and seeing how some of them are the villains tucked away on that island where all the villains and their kids live in poverty and fear and everything else. And it seems like a really bad idea because it's a commentary on the prison system in America, I imagine. And then bringing them in to Oridon and giving them a chance, the kids giving them a chance, even though they must turn against their villainous parents, sets the stage for everything that comes later, as Mal and her friends in the first three films start to become leaders in bringing more kids over into Oridon and to showing them that they don't have to be what their parents made them or what their parents were an inspiration for. They don't need to fall in line with the bad elements of society. They can do good. Going back to what I was saying about Ella, when Cinderella was a kid, she's not so much clean cut good and evil. She sees, things like, there's sometimes you need to do things that might be seen as bad if it serves a good purpose. Your intent, you wouldn't harm somebody, but the idea is that what people might see as like stealing, Robin Hood, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, that is a good thing, but it's also stealing, which is a bad thing. So it's a matter of balancing those grays in between the two things, which as an adult, Cinderella taught her daughter to do good and follow the rules. And Chloe just is coming to terms with a different side of her mother, teaching her that sometimes there has to be compromise in order to get things done for the greater purpose, the greater good. So, yeah, I've probably said way too much, but yeah, for those of you who've already seen it, it's not a big surprise. And again, if you like these kind of things, these song and dance, teen adventures, I like these things. I'm not like, if I had never watched them, I'm sure I would have lived a perfectly fine life. But when I do have the opportunity to watch these films, I appreciate what they do. The little Easter eggs, the little nudges to history. Yes, there's even an Aladdin and Jasmine that appears in this one. I don't know if they were in the previous ones at all, but yeah, there's an Aladdin and Jasmine that appear in this briefly. And I'm feeling they could figure into things in the future films, which are probably already being made. I just can't imagine they'd start this. The story resolves itself as its own thing, but it seems rushed, and it also seems structured in a way that says, yeah, we don't have to do everything now because we have probably 2 more movies, at least 1. And they say, oh, you thought the story was over? Nope, sorry. And then they fade to black, and it's pretty much, without showing visuals, it's just a voiceover that just says that. Oh, there's more story coming. Like usually that'd be like a mid-credit sequence or something that teases something to come. I don't know, but yeah, I'm sure there's going to be more Adventures of Red and Chloe to come on Disney Plus. Load up here. There we go. So let's pick tomorrow's episode. 228. Man, 20 minutes already? 228. What do we got here? Come on. 228. Oh, wow. Okay. We're heading back into the Marvel realm, but not core Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah, we're dipping into the Sony well now. You might be able to figure out who we're seeing. But it is the second iteration of a certain Spider-Man. This is the Amazing Spider-Man. The first one. We've actually already watched the second Amazing Spider-Man. But now, hey, I do it when it gets picked. And I've seen these films already, so I know what to expect with these. So what we're watching next is The Amazing Spider-Man on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.